Hey, kids, we're a couple of annoyed grunt boys, and this is the 138th Simpsons podcast. That's right, where the podcast explores the American animated sitcom The Simpsons from seasons 11 and beyond, and the newest ones when they're available. Why do we do it like that? Well, there's already plenty of podcasts to explore the quote-unquote golden age of The Simpsons, that being seasons 1 through 10, and we thought we'd explore the goodness in the newer seasons. Also, an entity known as the Wheel of Random has trapped us and forced us to watch the show in such a manner. I say we because I'm one annoyed grunt boy named Steve, and with me, as always, is the other annoyed grunt boy.
I'm annoyed grunt boy Craig, and I feel horny about being Conan's friend.
Okay, Craig.
Am I on the wrong podcast?
I mean, let me ask Sona and Matt, but I think you might be.
Oh, this isn't Conan the Barbarian has a podcast?
No, sorry.
Oh, man.
No, it's not Junior the podcast either. Nor Twins.
I guess this is that stupid Family Guy podcast, right?
That's right. Those annoyed ghoul hog boys.
Yeah. Steve, all jokes aside, I think we're getting another Disney special before season 36 commences.
Oh, that's right. That's exciting news. Another Disney Plus exclusive episode is airing on, I believe, February 12th.
I'm a little excited. So, we talked about maybe a couple weeks ago how Family Guy's taking over the Simpsons slot on Sunday, and we're not going to be seeing the Simpsons back on the air until the end of March, I believe.
That's right.
But never fear, the Simpsons are back on the Disney Plus for is it just one episode, or is it like another Yuletide thing they did? What's it called? Come on, ye faithful.
It looks like there are 2 more episodes that are coming exclusively to Disney Plus. The next one is called The Past and the Furious, and then there'll be another one with a date yet to be decided called Yellow Planet.
That's exciting, Steve. I was kind of not hoping, but like I was kind of excited for this like couple month off season for the new season, for the new season, to using the Wheel of Random and doing that. And we haven't been using Wheel of Random; we've been doing different things. But yeah, it's exciting that we get to see the Simpsons back on the good old Disney Plus. So February 12th, almost before Valentine's Day, Steve.
Just about, yeah. Maybe we'll have love in the episode.
Ooh. Well, we can't talk about that right now, right? Because I still have to, whoever is doing the episode, I still have to, or you have to pretend that we don't know what we're talking about, right?
That's right, right.
Okay. But I thought we'd go and do the old mailbag, Steve. Should we go back to the old mailbag?
That sounds amazing, yes.
All right, Steve, we have a fan mail here from... I won't say the full name. I don't know. Do they want us to say the full name? I'll say David. All right. So, hello, Doughboys, or Annoyed Grunt Boys. My name's David, and I like your podcast because it reminds me of the Simpsons Show podcast. You son of a bitch. Sorry, editorial. Listen to other Simpsons podcasts except for ours. How dare
unfair.
You? He likes our podcast because we swear.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, boobies, buttholes.
Crap.
Right. Again, I know the Simpsons Show podcast. Never listened to an episode, but it's like the number one Simpsons podcast, right?
Yeah.
So they don't use naughty language.
No, they're not wood people.
Yeah, that's fucking disappointing. I'll continue the letter, Steve. So Dave continues to say, anyway, I just wanted to send you an email saying that you guys are the best podcast, even if the Simpsons Show podcast is gone forever on Spotify for PS4. I don't know what that means. Like, is Simpsons Show not on Spotify? I mean, we're on Spotify.
I mean, maybe they're choosing not to be. I don't know.
Or are they just like anti-PS4, like only PS5 boys?
Yeah.
PS5 boys. Steve, you're a PS5 boy, right?
I am.
I still have a PS4, so.
But
I'm a Xbox guy. I've converted, Steve, to Xbox after since being a kid in high school, only strictly PlayStation. I've had every PlayStation minus the 5. So, yeah, I'm an Xbox kid.
no shame in that. They got some good stuff.
Look,
Game Pass is a good deal.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I've been playing a little Indiana Jones lately, so I'm very excited. It's a very fun game. All right. Anyways, Dave says, thanks for reading the email, and I hope you are well and having a good day. I think we are. Your biggest fan and pal, Steve. We have a new pal, Dave. He also gives us a PS. Eat my shorts and bite my shiny metal ass. Is that a hint of like maybe we should start doing Futurama episodes on our Patreon?
I think so. Yeah, I think that'd be great.
All right, David. You better sign up for our Patreon if we ever do it. So thanks for that positive email. I love positive emails. I read our emails. Emails are the best way to contact us because you care.
Yeah.
13simpsons@gmail.com. The one thing I don't read, and a lot of podcasters do because negativity and comments like threads and Instagram are great for positivity.
Sure.
The one is like YouTube, which has like, a lot of, we get some listens on that. YouTube comments I never read. Hopefully we don't have any negative comments on YouTube, Steve.
Well, I was just looking because I also kind of neglect the YouTube comments, and I just saw that we had a recent comment for our episode 98, which is season 14, episode 11, Barting Over, and it looks like we do have a comment.
98, like 80 years ago we did this podcast?
Exactly, but they commented 15 hours ago.
As of this record. So,
as of this record, yeah. And so I won't give their name, but they say, "You guys suck. LMFAO. You're, Y-O-U-R, done. JFK Jr. is alive, and you will see."
Okay, wait. So Bart, what episode was Barting Over we did?
Barting Over, of course, that we did, 3 years ago? Is the one where Bart moves out on his own and he becomes friends with Tony Hawk, and then
how was RFK or JFK?
JFK Jr. Yes, I
How was we mentioned that in that episode? When did we drop that episode? What year was that?
Let me look for you. It's gonna be a while because I don't know. I would say I haven't thought about JFK Jr. since he passed in that plane crash. And allegedly. But before that, just in an episode of Seinfeld where Elaine thought she saw him in a gym. Like, that's my knowledge of JFK. I knew he had a magazine that featured Cindy Crawford dressed as George Washington.
Yeah, wasn't it called George? Wasn't it the magazine?
I think, yeah. So, yeah, our episode released December 10th, 2020.
I'm confused. We were the end of President 45's run.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, COVID was still happening.
Yeah. Steve, I don't want to make this a political podcast or anything, but in our current state, we're recording this in 2025. We have our 47th president, and I really wish we had the days where 47 was more like 45.
That's right.
At least there were some checks and balances going on.
Yeah. It was a better time, weirdly.
Not a political podcast.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. We proud Canadians just don't know what y'all are doing down there.
Oh, right. Exactly. I forgot we're Canadian. Let's keep that in mind. Canadian.
A boot.
Yeah, hockey. Yeah. Uncircumcised penis. All right.
Different number of football players?
I think so.
Yeah, and they all have uncircumcised penises. Yes, of course.
Yes.
Well, Craig, let's go back to an innocent time, a more innocent time, all the way back to where the episode that we're talking about today first aired, to November 16th, 2014. Wow, that seems like so long ago. What were we watching in the box office?
Well, I believe people were watching the sequel to the hit 1994 movie?
Mm-hmm.
95? Dumb and Dumber, but it's Dumber and Dumber 2, Steve. But instead of the letter 2, it's T-O, not T-W-O, because they're Dumb and Dumber. This is technically the sequel, because remember, after the first Dumb and Dumber movie in the 90s with with Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels, they did like a Dumb and Dumber sequel, but like a prequel with some kids, and it wasn't good.
Right, Dumb and Dumber.
Right. But then we get this sequel. Now, I know a lot of fans or people don't like this movie. I was fine. It's literally a dumb movie. I was totally fine with the sequel. I know, like, it has, like, negative reviews and it's not, people don't consider it good, but look, I had fun with it. So, there. I'm dumb.
And what else could you expect for...
Right.
Like, you're not, like, going to see, like, a fine film. It's supposed to be stupid, and so if you have some guffaws, the mission's accomplished.
I'm gonna defile everyone, and that's not the word I was looking for. I'm gonna watch the sequel again, just despite everyone.
Yes, I think defy is the word that you're looking for.
I'm defying gravity, Steve.
Defile everyone that you feel you need to.
After I'm done watching it, though, like, I'm just gonna express my feelings of liking that sequel, and if you yell at me, or if you post on our social media pages of being mean towards us, I'm just gonna take all your words and brush it off. Just, you know, I can't think of another term for, like, just getting rid of all the bad vibes.
Maybe you should shake it off.
Ooh.
Which happens to be the number one song on the Billboard Hot 100. That's right, it's Shake It Off by a new artist named Taylor Swift.
Look, as a T-Swifty here, a Swifty, it's not my favorite, you know?
That's a bold statement, but I respect it.
But, Steve, we need to kind of wrap up this week's episode, even though we just started. But after we're done with the episode, I forgot that we're recording this on Sunday.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I've converted to Jew, Christian, Islamic.
Wow.
All three of the major religions to one, and yeah.
Wow, that sounds like you might need a ride. So, Craig, do you want me to take you to church?
Sure thing, hoser.
All right. Canadian. That's right. The number one hot rock and alternative song was Take Me to Church.
But who's the artist, hoser? Hoser.
That's right. That's right, hoser. I don't know who the artist was. Hosier.
All right.
But yes, when we finally do go to church, I think that I'm a little afraid of, like, going with the house in complete darkness, because when we return, it'll be too scary because all the ghosts and the goblins will be there. So,
do you want me to leave the light on, Steve?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Wait, or leave the night on?
Oh,
what does it even mean?
I don't know, but that's what it does say. Not what I thought it said. That's right. The number one hot country song was "Leave the Night On" by Mike's brother Sam Hunt. But I think this episode that we're about to watch is about an event that takes place in the desert. And, it seems like some people like it because they get all dirty. But for me, I don't think so.
Wait, you saying you want to be clean?
Yeah, I think I'd rather be clean. That's why the number one hot electric song is "Rather Be" by Clean Bandit and Jesse Glein.
All right. I'm sure it's a great tune.
I'm sure it is, too. And I'm sure it will accompany the episode that we're watching today, which is entitled Blazed and Confused, in which Bart tricks his family into camping at a strange desert festival known as Blazing Guy so that he can get revenge on his sadistic new teacher, Mr. Lassen, who is determined to crush Bart's spirit. Let's give that episode a watch, and we'll be right back. And we're back. Today we're talking about Blazed and Confused, the 7th episode of the 26th season. It is episode 559 in the show's run. It originally aired on November 16th, 2014. Your nerd code is TABF01. It was written by Carolyn Omine and William Wright, directed by Rob Oliver, and your showrunner is Al Jean.
Wow, Steve, this is the Tab years. This is the first episode of the Tab Nerd Codes.
That is true, yes.
So this was probably the 2013 or 12 maybe, like, production, like when they started, because it takes like what, a year or more to make an episode, right?
Yeah, it takes about 2 years, so I'd say probably around 2012 is when the Tab era began.
So I'm going to keep that in mind when we're talking about this episode, because this technically would be the start of a new season.
Yeah, that's true.
But really, Steve, it's the 7th episode. Wow. Lucky number 11. Hey, welcome back, guys. This is the Carolyn, Omine, and William Wright back to back. Pew, 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 right?
Yeah.
This is one that we have not reviewed. We're not doing a repeat like last week.
That's true.
So hopefully fans out there enjoyed our rebirth. Should we call it our rebirth?
I like Rebirth, yeah.
Is it our new 52 like the DC Comics did a few years ago?
Yes. Sounds exactly like that.
We don't like to talk about the new 52 as a DC Comics fan. But hey, we talked about Carolyn a lot, but we haven't talked about William a lot. This was because William Wright left this mortal coil in December 2024. So we're honoring him by doing 2 of his episodes back to back. This is the last of them, because Dial Inferno that you heard last week, and of course Chief of Hearts, which we reviewed in our 266th episode. So welcome in, and let's wrap up these guys and never talk about them again.
That's right. I mean, we'll probably talk about Caroline. 12 more episodes of hers, so.
Yeah.
But William, thank you for your work, and to your husband, we wish you the best. And here we go. Our episode begins with a title gag. We have Kang and Kodos dressed as a princess and a pirate, respectively, and they soar across the screen in a flying saucer. And Kodos blames Kang's stupid makeup as the reason that they missed Halloween.
I'm assuming that the Treehouse of Horror had already aired?
Yes, since this was like November 16th, that would make sense. Let's see here.
Did they not appear? No, of course they would have appeared.
Yeah, but they probably only appeared briefly.
I guess that's kind of the way now with Treehouse of Horror. Like, they just kind of make brief cameos. They're like the Stan Lee of the whole Halloween of Terror. What's Treehouse of Horror?
Yeah, they are, because they like swing by and like you see them in the background, but they didn't do it, and they wrote all the episodes too.
Well, they wrote the episodes back in like the 60s, Steve.
Yeah, of course.
Kane Coates then would just make Matt Groening like draw the pictures, and then Matt Groening would draw the pictures, and then King and Kodos would write a story around him.
That's right. Yeah.
But Steve, we do have a couch gag, and it's a ski lift that carries the Simpsons, who are dressed for the winter sport. So the lift returns with the family injured and bandaged, except for Maggie, who flips across the screen on skis wearing a gold medal. Congratulations.
Yeah. Let's see. This is 2014. There were the Winter Olympics then, probably. So.
Was it?
I don't know.
Which I feel like
making love.
Chicken tonight. Yeah, the Winter Olympics, especially in like this country, kind of like no one cares, right? I mean, we care about maybe like the figure skating or the ice skating, I think.
Yeah.
Or is that because we grew up with like the Nancy Kerrigan, Tanya Harding scandal?
I think that's mostly what it is, and like I feel like in our neck of the woods, people still watch ice skating with that memory. But yeah, I feel like winter sports do not get the same fame as the summertime ones do.
Yeah, and of course, as we are Canadians, we love our hockey.
Mm-hmm.
I forget to mention that, like, everyone thinks we're from America, and we say we are, like, the past 312 episodes. But I forgot to... Let's just tell everyone we're actually Canadians.
Yes, we're Canadians, not a political podcast, eh?
Yeah, we've been trying to hold back our Canadian accents.
Yeah.
About 6 years.
Yeah, but every time you hear me take a drink, it's from Tim Hortons or Labatt's, Molson.
That's all we have up here.
Yeah, maybe some maple syrup. That's not from Vermont.
Yeah, but I enjoy some Winter Olympics here and there.
Conceptually, I think the biathlon is the best sport ever. Because it combines 2 of my favorite activities, skiing and shooting things.
I like bobsledding because I remember that one team from Jamaica, they were pretty good.
Well, if you have John Candy as your coach, you can't not be good.
Well, John Candy, a Canadian just like us.
That's true, yeah.
How come he hasn't done anything recently?
I don't know. He's lazy.
Jesus. It's been a couple years. We can make fun of John Candy.
Yeah.
So should we just get on with the episode?
Yes, and our episode begins, as it always does, at Springfield Elementary in the evening. Outside, Willie rakes leaves, then dons a sleeping cap, and uses the pile of foliage as a bed and pillow. Inside, a meeting of Springfield's educators is being held, hosted by Super Nintendo Chalmers, who welcomes all of the school's district principals, including Skinner, Weinberg, Sackett, and Gwendolyn Hertzfeldt's Manastramio.
I don't think you need to take two, Steve. We'll just keep it in.
That sounded perfect to me, yeah.
Yeah. So the meeting is for the annual Dance of Lemons, where each school can swap their worst teacher to another school. Behind Chalmers is a screen showing anthropomorphic lemons being thrown into a blender and then blended into lemonade. And it also sounds like it's like children. Mm-hmm. And they're poured into two pitchers, one representing a problem being solved and the other saying that parents are placated. As Chalmers puts it, the district is happy. The parents are pleased, and only the children are left to suffer. As the video ends, we see that it's a Chalm Skin production, which is a nice callback, right?
Yeah.
They were, Sundance? They had a film?
Yeah, and they've made a couple of other appearances of Chalm Skin, or references to it, so I think it's cool. And I know we don't really do shirts anymore, but I think that'd be a fun one. You
probably should.
Yeah.
So the concept of taking a teacher and then just swapping them out, I doubt that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it made me think of, if you could take a character from The Simpsons.
Ooh.
For, one season, they have to be in another cartoon. Or maybe TV show. I don't care if it's live action, sure. But, you have to swap a character from another show to The Simpsons and vice versa. So, for instance, this isn't mine, but, you're swapping Chris Griffin out for Lisa Simpson. Lisa has to be on Family Guy and Chris has to be on The Simpsons.
Right, right.
But that's not my thing, so I'm asking you what yours would be.
That's really good. That's a great question. I've got to say, I've been watching a lot of Abbott Elementary lately, so that's kind of on my brain. But I think Ava and Skinner swap would be a lot of fun.
I almost want to see Janine, Quinta Bronson, the main character. It'd be interesting if she became Bart's teacher.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be switching Quinta with Kerry Washington's character, which they're almost probably similar.
Yeah, they do have the same, they care a lot, and yeah.
Yeah, so maybe that's not the best example. So I'll let you have your Abbott and Simpsons. So I just like the idea of an animated character walking around Abbott Elementary.
Mm-hmm. Hello, children.
That's pretty funny. Okay, I'll try one here. I like how you went live action. All right, I'm going to swap out Greg Gutfield from Fox News with Krusty the Clown.
Oh, boy.
I mean, Greg Gutfield's a clown, just like Krusty.
Yeah, and I feel like neither one of them are particularly funny intentionally. I feel like if you took the episode where Krusty's doing the Dickie bit and is problematic and took that over to Fox News, he would fit right in.
He'd be a ratings juggernaut.
That's true. Kennedy and all of the rest of those horrible people, all the blonde ladies and the weird guys. They would probably fall in love with Krusty, aside from, one aspect about him, but yeah. Because he had heart surgery, that's why.
Right. Because modern science saved his life.
Exactly.
All right.
But it is, probably the reason why they're doing this is because, sadly, we lost Marshall Wallace in 2012, and this left Bart without a teacher, and they promoted this as the actor who's playing him, who I'll say now is Willem Dafoe, is going to be Bart's teacher, and a lot of people thought, that's going to be, the new thing, but of course, it wasn't permanent, but this is where it happens.
It also seems like it'd be kind of expensive to have Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what his rate is, Steve. You didn't Google what Dafoe's rate was?
I did not. I'm guessing, though, he, at this point, I feel like he works for fun, because mostly he's just in those Yorgos Lanthimos films, where he gets to play a weirdo. Back to the episode. A curtain is lifted, revealing the Lemons, a number of sociopathic child haters who were only educators because they received their tenure after 2 short years. One of the Lemons complains that Chalmers' reductive introduction is mean, but he's quickly quieted down by a guard brandishing a taser. So the superintendent pulls his first pick, Springfield Elementary, who can send a teacher to West Springfield. So 3rd grade teacher Sticky Finger Stella is chosen, and as she stands, her briefcase spills out a number of stolen goods, including several plastic soldiers, a yo-yo, a Malibu Stacy, and a live hamster who scurries from its captor.
So next up, Springfield finds out what teacher they're about to get. Gary pulls the ball from the lotto spinner, and as he reads the name, He begs God for mercy. Before he announces who the new teacher will be, Chalmers asks everyone to pray, despite, Skinner reminding him that they are in a public school, which at this time, kids, you weren't allowed to pray in school, but now I think that's
mandatory.
Yeah.
So the new teacher, Mr. Lassen, is welcomed to Skinner's office by the secretary. The replacement for Mrs. Krabappel begins to light up a cigarette, but when he's told that there's no smoking, he flips the smoke down his throat with his tongue and puts out the lit match in his own eye. And looking at Mr. Lassen's file, Skinner sees that his career began at Shelbyville Prep, whereas Lassen puts it, as voiced, as he mentioned, by the large hog Green Goblin himself, Willem Dafoe, wealthy parents weren't fond of all the precious darlings being duct-taped to the wall.
Let's just get into that comment you made about Willem Dafoe's large hog. I think it's on record that the director of the movie Antichrist, Lars von Trier. Now, Steve, have you seen Antichrist?
I have not, but I'm looking at the quote now, so...
You can tell the quote, but yeah, so they were making a movie, right, about, I don't know what, this movie Antichrist, and there was supposed to be a scene where Willem Dafoe's penis is exposed. And, Steve, if you have the quote...
Yes, so the director had to cut the scene because Dafoe's actual penis was shown and reshoot it with a body double because it was so large that everyone in the room was confused.
Like, confused why he has a penis?
But confused by why it's so big.
But, Steve, have you seen it lately? Steve's watching Antichrist real quick.
I mean... It's fine.
Are you looking at the body double or Willem Dafoe?
Oh, there it is. Yeah, no, that's pretty good. Good job, guy.
All right, Steve, and I want to try that bit that Mr. Lassen does with the cigarette and match. So here's that. Give it a go.
Oh, God. That's horrible, awful, just bad.
Steve, you just drank my Mountain Dew.
Ugh, I know. That's the worst. Don't you have any crab juice? Here, I need to clear out my tongue. I'm just going to swallow the cigarette. And then, it's still there. I'm just going to put the match out in my eye. Whew, that's better.
And here's your crab juice for your prize.
Refreshing. Tastes like the sea.
So from there, Lassen joined the public school system. He tells Seymour that is where he received his scar. Much like the Joker from that movie, Dark Knight.
Yes.
So the principal asks the employee which scar he's referring to, and then Lassen, in a, as the kids would say, a baller move,
Indeed.
uses a letter opener to slice open a cut on his cheek. Steve, can you be a baller for me?
I mean, I just drank Mountain Dew, and now you want me to cut myself? Okay, fine. Diet Mountain Dew. Gross.
Sorry. I really should stop putting up my Mountain Dew product placements in front of you.
Yeah, it's a Code Red situation. Oh, God.
That's not blood, it's Code Red. All right, well, after seeing the educator is left-handed when he slices his cheek, Skinner quickly dismisses his evaluation.
Yeah, so speaking of the Joker, there's been talk, of course, about Willem Dafoe playing the Joker, because he'd be perfect, right?
I think it's more like fan talk, not like
that's
talk.
I guess so, yeah.
I think we're at the point maybe he's past his prime.
Yeah, and I think we're good on Jokers for a little while anyway.
Unless they do another musical, I think they could do a better job.
Yeah. Menage a trois. They'll be the third one.
Look, I think the only way to do a Dafoe Joker is if they faithfully adapt Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns from the 80s, where it's like an older, grizzled Batman.
Oh, yeah.
And then Dafoe can play Joker. And internet hate me for this, but I would love to see George Clooney play The Dark Knight Returns.
Oh, yeah.
Give him like a serious return.
Alec Baldwin would still be good, but I know that Batman doesn't like to use guns. Anyway, in the fourth grade class, the students are wondering if there's any dirt on the new teacher. Martin asked if he's stingy with the pumpkin stickers, while Database wonders if he has OCD. If he has OCD. If he has OCD. Bart doesn't have the answer to those questions, but he's sure that in 10 minutes, the new educator will be kneeling before Zod. And of course, in that analogy, he is assuming the role of the leader of the Kryptonian military forces.
Do you think he's referring to Terrence Stamp Zod or the other guy from Man of Steel? What's his name? What's his name? The guy that was in Groundhog's Day.
Bill Murray. Stephen Tobolowsky.
Michael Shannon.
Okay.
Yeah, Michael Shannon has like a little small part in the Groundhog's Day, if you watch the movie, which, as of this record, I did the previous day because it was a holiday.
As you should.
Yeah. So is he referring to Michael Shannon or Terrence Stamp is what I'm asking you? Because
I assume
it still came out in 2013.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I would assume it's Terrence Stamp just because it's more iconic, but I think he's referring to Jay, of Jay and Silent Bob fame, because when I think of Zod, that's what I think of.
Did Michael Shannon say kneel before Zod in Man of Steel?
I don't think so, but I don't remember.
What a missed opportunity, you know?
Yeah.
Fuck you, Zack Snyder. Oh, I better not get the Zack Snyder fans pissed off. They're worse than Trump fans, I think. Or RFK fans.
Of course, yeah.
All right, so Bart's brilliant prank to frighten the teacher is devious in its simplicity. He uses a remote control card to make a knocking noise in the coat closet, and when the curious teacher goes to check out the sound, he'll open the door to find a skeleton hanging. And Milhouse tells Bart that the prank is kind of scary, but it doesn't make him, pee his pants. Just then, Mr. Lassen enters the classroom, and Chekhov's gun, or as we call it, Chekhov's phaser, or really we should be calling it Milhouse's penis, goes off. So as the Van Houten boy pees his pants in fear, we'll have a little clip here.
Hello. I'm Mr. Lassen.
You mean Mr. Less Than?
So, a comedian, are you?
I got a pretty solid 10 minutes.
Well, I could do 5 minutes on your pathetic vest and 5 minutes on your ugly buck teeth, and I've got a whole HBO specials worth on your fat mama.
My mom can't afford to be fat. She's an exotic dancer.
Oh, and in what exotic location does she dance?
A touch of class, but the CL fell off.
Son, there was never a CL.
I think I always knew that.
Bart, this guy served 2 tours in middle school. Abort prank.
I will not. Anything to delay a spelling test.
It's rare to see Nelson being scared.
It's true, yeah. That really scares him to the core, and I feel bad for the guy.
Lassen's voice, especially since it's a podcast, audio podcast, Defoe's voice is kind of he's really giving me ASMR vibes, though, listening to him.
Yeah, it's both comforting and frightening at the same time.
I just love he's got all of these childish comebacks to Nelson. And, his mom works at Touch of Class, but the CL is missing. That's a great line. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really good. Also in that clip, Milhouse is checking out Jack Lassen's Wikipedia page, and it shows that he's a teacher in Springfield Elementary, and that he famously grew up in Maine, but left to move elsewhere, where he currently resides. And it goes to tell the story of his ancestors in Maine, who arrived shortly before the Civil War, and then there's a whole backstory about him being confused for Kennedy and growing up on Lassen Road. And I just think we've talked about this before, but the attention to detail on these, on a Wikipedia page, or stuff that you don't need to do that they put the work in, I really appreciate.
Can we also now confirm that Springfield is not in Maine, because he grew up in Maine, but he moved elsewhere? Yes. All right. So Maine, you're off the list.
Kiss suck it, Maine.
Yeah, hey, and we're the only Portland that matters now.
That's true. I mean, that's always been the case.
Portland, Canada, because we're Canadian. I forgot.
Of course, yeah. Eh?
I almost blew our cover, Steve.
Good save. Bart uses his remote to activate the car as expected, and Mr. Lassen goes to check out the disturbance. But he's completely unfazed by the fake skeleton and calls out Bart as the prankster responsible. He then reminds Bart about the school code regarding a student's hair being of uniform length. Nelson nervously asks what will become of Bart, and Lassen tells him to be quiet. He then mocks the bully, calling him Smelson, and Nelson hoped that no one would ever come up with that mocking of his name, despite the fact that Mad Magazine refers to him as Smelson in their issue making fun of the boy band Party Posse in season 12's New Kid on the Block.
Mad Magazine, that's not published anymore, right? Just like reruns?
Yes, I think they release them quarterly, and they're like compendiums of topics. So it might be like Mad's wacky take on like Star Wars or whatever's coming out at the time. And they might have like 10% new content, but it's mostly just reruns in print form.
Wasn't there like a millionaire or a billionaire that recently purchased The Onion and put it back to print?
Yes, there was. I'm trying to remember who
is.
Yes, yeah.
They're not dead or gone, as of this record. Why can't we have billionaires like that?
Yeah, doing good things.
Can they bring back Mad Magazine with a whole new team of writers?
Billionaires should be doing fun things like that. Like, also, I think The Onion tried to buy Alexis Jones's network and kick them out, too, which is really fun, too.
Yeah, like, if you're a billionaire, don't be a Lex Luthor, be whoever this guy is that bought The Onion. It's like, fuck it, I'm a billionaire, I could lose money on print, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, maybe do better and, like, use the money towards, like, science and, like, medicine, things that can really help people.
Yeah, house people.
Yes, house people, too, yeah. Laughter is the best medicine, Steve.
Right. Just ask our head of health and human services.
Anyways, so Lassen opens up his briefcase and pulls out a pair of clippers. No, not the basketball team, Steve, from Los Angeles. Also in the case is a pair of like steampunk goggles and a printout of the website blazingguy.com, which if you go into like half the states in America right now and type that in, you're restricted to go there because it's probably a porn site.
Yes.
So later at the kitchen table, Marge asks Bart how his first day of school was, and responds that it was terrible. And Homer is relieved when he doesn't want to discuss it further. Now, Lisa asks why Bart is wearing his hat at the dinner table. He explains that the teacher gave him a haircut. So at Homer's request, Bart removes his hat, showing that his hair had been shaved down the middle. Despite his promise not to laugh, Homer cannot contain himself.
Hey, look at me! I'm Bart!
Sorry. Stop that, all of you. It's not Bart's fault that his haircut looks so stupid. I didn't know that a teacher could cut kids' hair.
Teachers' union won the right in their last strike.
I'm going to go to that school and talk to that teacher.
Marge, please don't say anything. It never makes a difference, and then the teachers give us stink eye during the school fairs.
Well, if he's going to get a haircut, Bart should at least have gotten a balloon with it. Well, anyway, Bart, you'll cheer up on our camping trip this weekend.
What camping trip?
The one you booked for us at Owl Haven. The one you have to reserve a year in advance.
Oh, you told me not to do it a year ago, remember?
I don't remember that.
You're right. No one can be expected to remember something from a year ago. Certainly not me.
Well, it is manipulative gaslighting. It is fun logic by Homer. Like,
Right.
it's quick thinking on his part.
It's such that trope of a sitcom, too. But don't you remember? We were supposed to be doing this to further advance the plot of this episode.
Exposition.
What's his superpowers on the X-Men team?
He just keeps things moving along.
Is that what Stan Lee's X-Men name was? The Exposition.
Exactly, yeah.
Excelsior, true believers.
Works with Segway and the rest. So, Marge can't believe that Homer didn't book a campsite, especially as Labor Day is the following weekend, meaning that nothing will be available. Homer suggests that they return to Buzzard's Roost, but as Lisa points out, it's just a converted parking lot. But Homer corrects his daughter, saying that there's grass poking through. So they argue, and Marge bursts into tears, saying that her biggest sin was that she dared to hope.
So, can I figure out the timeline of this episode?
There's been a lot of debate on the internet about this, so yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I didn't look at the internet for this. So, this is 2013 when this episode aired. I know there's schools around the country that start school earlier, like in August, and I think a lot of our schools in this area, Canada, they start in August. But it makes sense because, again, this is the first episode in production for the tab years.
Mm-hmm.
And Bart's starting school again. So it's, it makes sense that school started. So I'm thinking, yeah, like maybe the first week is like the end of August, and then you get Labor Day weekend off. So you have like maybe a full week in August, and then 4 days in September.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because schools are starting earlier and earlier. Like when we were growing up in Canada, school started always the day after the American holiday of Labor Day.
For some reason in Canada, we celebrate Labor Day.
Of course, yeah. We thought it was about giving birth.
To hockey pucks.
That's how they're born. But yeah, I think that it's kind of a nice sentiment if you're a family to like, you've had summer, then you go back to school, and then you get one last huzzah before summer goes into autumn. And, you go out for one last family trip before you get, like, all busy with school life. So I think it's great.
Yeah. Except for, like, high school sucked because the last 2 weeks of August were always band camp. And that's when we put flutes in our vaginas.
Of course, yes. Wish I had gone to band camp.
So Homer tells Marge that he can't stand to see her crying at the dinner table. And the pork chops, mashed potatoes, and even the children agree. I like how he puts the food before the children. Mm-hmm. Because of this, he vows to come through for his baby. I also want to point out, too, like, Marge cooking vegetarian for Lisa isn't that great because she just has, like, a potato and, like, some corn. And was there, like, broccoli there, maybe?
Yeah. And I feel like she has a potato, like, every night because usually there is, like, a potato. And also, they went to the trouble of making mashed potatoes, so they just give Lisa some mashed potatoes.
Right, okay, I'm looking at it now. It's a baked potato with, it looks like a corn medley, maybe with some peas, and then carrots. Now, those roasted carrots, or just like, like raw carrots? Here you go, Lisa, you're a fucking vegetarian. And the fact that she's eating her husband right there.
I know, that's the most sinful thing of all.
And like, are the stems still on? Like,
yeah, I mean,
computer enhance, grid.
It looks like Marge went to the trouble of cutting one carrot into thirds, poorly, and then the other two are not even cut at all.
At least she put some garnish of like some parsley underneath the potato just to zhuzh it up. But yeah, look, she's got like some sort of weird. You know what? It could be like a quinoa that Lisa's eating. I'm not sure.
That's possible. Yeah, maybe some grain.
Because they got the mashed potatoes with gravy, pork chop, and peas, and rolls. Also, for a family of 5,
that's a lot of rolls.
That's a lot of rolls. That's like you're wasting so many rolls there. But Homer does eat a lot, so he probably goes through like half of those. Mm-hmm. I mean, each kid has a roll, and Marge probably has half a roll.
Well, Homer has lots of rolls because he's so fat.
Yeah, but he's like a thin American nasty.
That's true, yeah.
We can make fun of that because we're Canadians. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so because of what Homer just said, he vows to come through for his baby, not Maggie, because Maggie points to herself. Very funny scene, thinking that that's who he's talking about. He's talking about Marge. So Marge really wants to believe Homer, and Homer really wants to believe him. So as he dumps the gravy boat onto his plate, he says how great it is that they both agree. Also, that gravy looks really lumpy.
It does, yeah. Come on, Marge. Get better. The following day, Lassen arrives at his class to find that the blackboard has been defaced with pink paint that says Lassen is a wiener, El Barto. And Lassen laughs, saying that he can take a joke. He then punches the chalkboard repeatedly until a hole is formed on the other side of the wall where Lisa is giving a report on Eleanor Roosevelt. That's kind of frightening. Like, if I were a kid in a classroom, and even if there was a prank and the teacher just started punching the chalkboard until it broke and there was a hole in the wall, I'd be frightened.
Pretty sure these days, even those days of 2014, he'd be gone.
Yeah.
So as Lisa sees the hole, right, she wonders if everything's all right. And Milhouse responds by poking his bulbous nose through Eleanor's face, saying, "Here's Billy." I don't know why I did that. "Here's Billy," in the style, of course, of Jack Nicholson playing Jack Torrance in the film The Shining. Lisa complains about her project being ruined, but she gets an A, and she's happy to receive the 4th grade A.
Yay.
Teachers are allowed to do that, right?
I think so, yeah. It's universal. You get the grading distribution skills when you become a teacher.
Also, Milhouse has some kahunas. Cahoons? Balls?
Yeah.
Testicles? To, like, walk up and poke his head through the... Like, I feel like Milhouse would have had a Milhouse gun from that. Like, he would have pissed his pants. But he just still goes up to the chalkboard, like, not afraid of what Lassen's going to do if he does that. Like, you remember that, like, when you were a kid, like...
Oh, yeah.
If the teacher's mad and you get up to walk, like, that's trouble.
Right. Well, I'm wondering, we talk a lot of shit about the Van Houten family and how Kirk sucks and, like, how, Milhouse is really the wiener. But, his nose is pretty bulbous. I wonder if other things are bulbous.
Like his toes?
Exactly. That's how he walked up there with such ease.
Well, they do say incest exaggerates the features, right?
Yes.
Do they say that? I don't know. It sounded like I knew what I was talking about.
It sounded very smart, I will admit.
Yeah. I'll just say that. So, hey, fellas, if you want your kids to have huge hogs, fuck your sister. This has been a message from the Annoying Grunt Boys.
That's right. Lassen firmly tells El Barto that he won't be fooled by him. He then uses Bart as an example while teaching a lesson about the power of electricity. Switching a generator from educational to agonizing, Lassen tells Bart to touch the high-voltage learning tool. Even Nelson admits that this may be one step too far, but Milhouse tells him to shut up, referring to him as Smelson. Yeah, Milhouse has balls in this episode. Mr. Muntz is saddened to know that his new name is sticking.
Should we say henceforth from this podcast we only refer to Nelson as Smelson?
I think so.
All right.
Smelson and Smartin.
So after Bart is electrocuted to death, the episode ends.
Womp womp.
No. He returns to his desk, twitching, with the current still running through his body. Milhouse shoves his phone charging cord into Bart's mouth, saying he just needs to get to 60%. So, back in his room, Bart uses the lessons learned from the film adaptations of J.R. Tolkien's to exact his revenge on Mr. Lassen.
Milhouse, I'm gonna get back at Lassen. Now, The Hobbit taught us that every dragon has a chink in its armor. It also taught us that New Zealand's beautiful landscapes and attractive tax credits add up to a filmmaker's paradise. For more information, visit www.nzfilmhere.nz. To find out Lassen's weakness, I hid a camera in the teacher's lounge.
Now, Steve, you do the research on this podcast. Is that website real?
We are looking it up now, and it does not seem to be real.
You son of a bitch, Milhouse. Steve cut off one of his 3 testicles.
Okay.
Ay, caramba!
So there's text on the screen that shows, as Milhouse is talking about the benefits of filming in New Zealand, that New Zealand is the Milhouse of Australia. And we also see Bart's desktop, which appears to be an Apple. He's running iOS. And he has such folders as...
Things Milhouse ate.
Lisa blackmail.
$, I owe Milhouse.
Prank financing.
I meant money I owe Milhouse.
Yeah.
Making sure people know what those mean. Okay. Excuses, parentheses new.
Excuses, parentheses old.
And search for El Barto. Steve, I don't know if we ever talked about this on the podcast, but your sister-in-law actually lives in New Zealand.
That is true. Yes, she does. She used to live in Hawaii and then Portland, and then now she is residing in New Zealand, and she loves it. And yeah, she seems to have a good life there. It's beautiful there too, from what I've heard.
Is she single?
Sadly, no. She has a partner.
Are they into multiple partners?
Could be. I haven't asked my sister-in-law about her.
Not for. I'm not trying to hit on her, Steve.
Right.
Just a little. I don't know, a little citizenship action.
Yeah.
You were getting that, right?
Oh yeah. A little menage a citizenship.
Could she just say she's very poly and accepts? I mean, maybe even you into her.
Yeah, why not?
And your wife.
Mm-hmm. That's a little weird, but maybe they'll have a big penis kid. I don't remember how that works.
It's all I'm asking, Steve. Is
yeah.
Well, I mean, I could also be noble, like Jor-El was with his son Kal-El, and if I build a rocket ship and put my child and shoot it over to that rocket ship to New Zealand, would she take care of my child?
I'm sure she will. Her name is Martha.
Why would you say that name? I told you never to say that. Okay, so Bart checks out the hidden camera footage, which shows groundskeeper Willie sneaking into the faculty fridge and pulling an apple out of Skinner's lunch sack. Lunch sack. Steve, I'm going to go back to the Abbott Elementary.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Now I want Mr. Johnson to switch with Willie.
That would be great.
Okay. That's only a joke for fans of Abbott Elementary, I guess. So the Scotsman rubs the apple on his ass, then his armpit, and then licks it, instantly regretting that he went in the wrong order.
That's pretty good. So after fast-forwarding the video, Bart sees Miss Hoover reading the dino-human erotic novel Too Sour with Love, and Mr. Lassen approaches Hoover, saying that she appears to be lonely and kind of weird. But she adds that she's also single, but the moment is ruined as Dewey Largo enters, wanting to heat up his goulash, leaving Lassen to suggest that he and Miss Hoover continue their flirtation online.
So that To Sour with Love, the dino-erotic thing, so dinosaur erotica is an actual thing. The author is Lola Faust.
Oh.
And the reason I know this is because I got my significant other as a joke gift for Christmas, because it's fun, a book called All I Want for Christmas is Utah Raptor. So if you go onto evil company that has a name of a river.com, you can purchase these books. I think even on Kindle Unlimited did. If you have Kindle Unlimited, they're free for you. So, for instance, this is a free plug to Lola Faust. So there's 50 Shades of Gorgosaur. There's All I Want for Christmas is Utah Raptor, which I said. Don Juan Velociraptor. Tyrannosaurus Sext. How Stego got his groove back. Triceratops and Bottoms from the author of Wet Hot Allosaurus Summer. Dino Stud. And then, of course, Wet Hot Allosaurus Summer. So, dinosaur erotica exists. I haven't read a full book, but I've read snippets from pages, just opening it up, and it's really funny stuff. So,
first of all, well done on the titling, Lola. I'm looking at literary rating website Goodreads. So, Wet Hot Allosaurus Summer has 5 stars, and the rest of them have 3 stars, which is respectable. Consistently 3 stars is pretty good. And they all have hundreds of reviews too, so people are reading these dino erotica, so good for them.
You're going to read, this is your next book. I think probably Wet Hot Allosaurus Summer is probably her first, it seems like, so.
Yeah, maybe that's where I begin.
Yeah.
I don't know, Dino Stud looks like a lot of fun.
I know, that's, there's a lot of genre, I was a big Stegosaurus fan, so maybe the Stego one is the one I want to read.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I just thought I should point that out there, folks. If you're fans of The Simpsons and humor, I think that's perfectly up your... And this podcast.
Yeah.
Again, Lola Faust, don't know the person. This isn't paid advertisement.
Right.
But check it out, people. You won't be disappointed. And hey, Kindle Unlimited, it's free.
Yeah. You can do it on the... maybe on the Patreon we can do a book club.
Oh, I like that. As long as there's audiobooks of those,
yeah.
Steve. Maybe we can offer our services for free to Lola. We'd like to read the books for you.
Oh, yeah.
She'll listen to our podcast your nasally, whiny Canadian voices. No, thank you.
No, I want Americans.
All right, well, seeing this, Bart creates a fake Miss Hoover profile on social media site Facebook, hoping that Lassen will friend her, thereby revealing personal secrets about himself. Milhouse is unsure of Bart's plan, as it goes against the terms and conditions that everyone has clearly read and understood. I feel like this joke might be a joke jail joke. I feel like the you didn't read the terms and conditions joke.
Yeah.
Maybe put that in jail.
I think that's a fair point. We've been there, we've seen it, we got it, to jail it goes. While at work, Homer desperately calls looking for a campsite, telling a park ranger that his wife has already begun to make the sandwiches. After the ranger tells him that several sites have already been booked for years, Homer inquires about a campsite where a guy in a hockey mask, we like that as Canadians, kills the campers. Not so much. The patient ranger informs Homer that he's talking about a movie, but as she says this, Jason Voorhees appears behind her and abducts her. So Homer's left on the line until Jason picks up the receiver, just in time to get Homer's address, the fact that he and his kids and lovely wife are all alone, and to learn that Homer's alarm code is 3679, which Jason writes on the wall in blood.
That's also your personal identification number for your debit card, I believe.
No, it's not. It's 1352. Jeez, Craig, you almost put me on blast.
In a matter of days, everyone's going to know your social security, and okay, it doesn't matter, Steve.
That's very true.
Thanks to a South African Nazi. All right.
Yeah.
So while Bart works on his revenge, Nelson appears from the shadows, encouraging Bart as Lassen preys on the weak. Nelson then demands Bart's lunch money, but before he can snatch it, Mr. Lassen rips the dollar from his hand and walks away, and also kicking a cat in his path. Man, fuck this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Bart checks out Mr. Lassen's Facebook profile to find him wearing a loincloth and a tribal mask. That's just like how I found Steve.
Mm-hmm.
Whipping flames near Plopper the pig. Remember him, Steve Plopper?
Spider Pig.
Yeah. Bart is initially confused, but upon further research, Milhouse offers some clarity.
It says these were taken at Blazing Guy. What's Blazing Guy? Oh, that's convenient.
Aloha. Do you want to make your home in a self-sustaining city that only exists a few days a year? One that combines nudity, dust storms, children, and all-consuming fires? Then you, my bro or bra, are dreaming of Blazing Guy. On the last day, the Chosen One, or Ignis, sets fire to the giant wooden guy in a ritual dating back to 1986. The Blazing Guy Council of Elders, in conjunction with Duraflame, is very pleased to announce that this year's Ignis is Jack Lassen.
So if we go there with a camera to film Lassen humiliating himself, I'll get revenge for him making me into this.
Because this is an audio medium, Bart does pull off his red cap, not that one, to reveal a bald head with 2 strands of hair going across the top. And he says that he's trying to even it out, but Milhouse laughs at him, saying that Bart is starting to resemble his daddy, Homer, adding that Milhouse is glad because he looks just like his mom, which is funny because he and his dad also look quite a bit alike.
Do we get into the Burning Man of this, Steve? I'm pretty sure we haven't talked about Burning Man on this podcast because this is probably the first time Burning Man has come up. It's our Blazing Guy.
Yeah.
But maybe we have. It's just, knowing you, like, that's probably the thing you would... what would you rather do? Would you rather have to eat a ream of paper or go to Burning Man? I think you'd rather eat a ream of paper than go to Burning Man.
Yeah, you are exactly right. It sounds awful. I don't particularly care for hippies. I'm a very progressive person, as most Canadians are. And I believe in equal rights for everybody, and, people should live their truths and all the good things. But hippies, I think, are selfish assholes who who turned into like yuppies and rich assholes. And I think that Burning Man is exactly what this is, because aside from being really, dirty and like a lot of artists, do you know that it costs $2,000 minimum to go to Burning Man?
Oh, you asking me? No, I didn't know that. Yeah.
That's at the low end. It can cost upward to like $8,000 depending on what you're doing and how you're doing it, not to mention supplies and stuff. That's just to get a ticket. It's really expensive, and there's just all these like weird unspoken rules. It's like what somebody who is against communism imagines communism to be. And it's just, I don't know, it sounds like my own personal nightmare. And if you're a fan of Burning Man, more power to you, friend. But yeah, it's not for me. What about you, Craig? I don't see you as a big flaming guy either.
They mentioned like since 1986. Has it been around since 1986 or earlier?
Mm-hmm.
The original intent of Burning Man was like very hippie. Like there was no money involved.
Right.
Like to get there. But now, like, because they even make a joke about, like, Duracell, whatever, Duraflame. But it's now, like, it's a corporate party now.
Yeah.
And the idea of, like, just, like, yeah, the heat, like, I like a desert heat. Don't get me wrong. I like the warmth, but I also like to enjoy it, like, encapsulated in an air-conditioned device.
Mm-hmm.
Or if a swimming pool is nearby. But the fact that, like, it's just in the middle of nowhere with I got to deal with porta potties, and
yeah.
a lot of it is like it's about cleanliness, hygiene.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, if I don't have a bidet, like it's tough for me to like travel.
Yeah.
Without a bidet, like I don't take a bidet with me, so I'm one of those bastards who takes baby wipes and uses those instead. Like, and I know it's not good for the environment or toilets in general. You're not supposed to flush them. I know, but yeah, like I could not spend I have to like shower every day. I can't do it.
Yeah, no, I need to shower daily. I need to change my socks daily. I can't do it. I don't like camping, and I appreciate the outdoors. I think, woodland areas are beautiful, and, I love a walk in the forest, but camping is not my deal either because of that. It's like, I don't want to sleep in the woods, and we'll come up to Homer's logic in a bit, which makes perfect sense to me. But, yeah, so Burning Man, it did begin in 1986, and I think it did have noble intentions, but I think that it has been kind of ruined by capitalism and the wealthy elite barging their way in the sake of like trying to be, artists or whatever.
And plus, I don't need to see a lot of hanging dong.
Yeah, that's another thing is it's the rule about any place where nudity is public, the people who you want to see naked aren't there.
The only people I really want to see naked are like Liam Neeson, Milton Berle, and Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, maybe Frank Sinatra too.
For no particular reason.
Yeah.
All right, so in the kitchen, Marge and Lisa are packing for the camping trip, struggling to fit a large piece of fabric into a bag. Lisa comments how difficult the bag was to roll up, but Marge tells Lisa that they were actually Homer's sweatpants. Homer walks in ready to confess that he doesn't have a reservation booked for the trip, but Bart whispers that he has a location. Homer has once again been saved from facing any sort of consequence, so saying that it'll keep on happening until he creates a mess that is so large it can't be cleaned up. So the Simpsons, along with Milhouse, hit the road, singing a jaunty tune about their destination, stopping along the way to shoot a sign, despite another pleading not to shoot signs, as it makes them look like hicks.
Camping we will go.
But where, I still don't know.
A place that's filled with sun and sand, a desert steampunk Disneyland. Keep expectations low. Swing low, sweet chariot. Homer Simpson, I love you.
Oh.
A world of anarchic free expression.
Cars shaped like cupcakes. I'm home.
Now, we just talked about Burning Man, but do you feel like Lisa, maybe when Burning Man existed or first came out, she'd be into? I don't know. Like, does this seem like something Lisa would be into?
I don't know. Like, on the surface, I would think kind of because it is like a lot of free artistic expression in theory. I think it's a little lowbrow for Lisa. I know that she's an artist and she appreciates creativity, and that's supposed to be what Flaming Guy or Burning Man is all about. But I just feel like it's not really her scene. Like, I feel like it feels like so manufactured to be wacky for the sake of only being wacky that I think she's too smart for it, honestly.
But I feel like also Lisa is kind of that character who, on the surface, she's very into the causes. And it's been kind of, shown throughout episodes where she still is a Simpson and kind of superficial.
That is true, yeah. Like, even when Bart got that haircut, she laughed at him just as hard as Homer did.
Right. In her heart, she is still a true Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Well, in the light of the morning, the Simpsons emerge from their tent to find vehicles shaped like anglerfish, women wearing butterfly wings, and all sorts of creative expression. Seeing that one of the drivers of the cupcake cars has a lit candle on his head, Homer goes to blow it out, but the surly hippie stops him.
So, among the steampunk lizards, nude pogo stick riders, and riders of penny farthings made of bone, Marge worries that the campsite isn't family-friendly, and Homer responds that camping is inherently pointless, driving hundreds of miles to shower and sleep at a location that lacks a bathroom or bed. So this is what you were getting to?
Yes. This is exactly how I feel. Like, there are places that have beds, there are places that have bathrooms, and at this point, you can't just go to the woods and sleep. You have to pay for a site. And like Homer's dealing with, you have to do it months in advance. And you know what else you can do months in advance? Book a hotel room.
Yeah, if it's about cost to save up money, right? I mean, look, you're bringing this up, and I know you're like walking on eggshells here because you and I, as high school kids, we used to go camping all the time.
Yes.
In those days, you had to call and reserve a spot, but there would be sometimes you would go to a campsite and hope for a place, and that's usually what we did. I think a lot of times, like, you know, our friends would take us, and then, or one of our friends would, you know, we go with it. Sometimes it was like in the middle of nowhere without facilities, and you and I both didn't dig that.
Right.
So like, if we were to go to a campsite, let's make sure it had like functioning toilets.
Yeah.
I've gone camping the past couple of years, maybe like once. It's been a couple of years, but I found again not as a paid content, but there's an app called Hip Camp. It's like Airbnb, but it's a lot cheaper, and it's like camping, but a lot of times it's glamping. So like it might be on like someone who owns a farm has like a little yurt, but they'll have like renting like a bathroom.
See, that I could get down with, yeah.
And it's a lot cheaper. And like we did it once, and it was like, you know, it was like a shed, but just like one room, but it had like a kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And then you had to walk down to the toilet with a shower, but still it was running hot water and shower and toilet, and you had to share with like 2 other campsites.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a problem. And you still had like a fire pit and had like a little stream, but it was just, it was nice. I was still like in like this little tiny home that had a kitchen and a TV and a bed. And then, even though, you know, I could do this at home, but it's still like I'm camping. I'm doing little air quotes, but yeah, Hip Camp. Check it out.
That sounds like something I'd be down for. And like, you know, I don't want to like sound privileged or anything, because like I just feel like camping is not for me.
Yeah.
So Homer goes to finish his point, but then notices that Maggie has gone missing. And Marge looks over to see that Maggie has climbed up on a giant statue of the female form and is suckling at the art piece's breast. So Marge pulls the baby from the boob, saying that they brought Cheerios for her.
That was the first time Dad, like, I could just see that joke as just like, it's a funny joke, but like, that's literally our 7-month-old. It's like, if it looks like a nipple, it's going in her mouth.
Like father likes daughter.
I learned it from watching you, Steve. While Marge seeks comfort in Homer's arms, a blazing guy enthusiast in knee-high boots, army jacket, and red Speedo informs them that the wind will blow right where their tent is located, adding that they should have secured the tent stakes at least 3 feet down. And Homer responds, calling the man Desert Arnez, saying that Homer Simpson knows how to pitch a tent, and as he says this, the family's tent blows into the sky, and Homer loses his erection. You see, pitching a tent is also a term for erection, Steve.
It's true. Speaking of, Homer asks the man he just insulted if he can bum a tent. Hearing this, Marge groans. A nearby woman offers her some calming tea, and Marge is relieved to find someone she considers to be normal. But as Calypso Self-Knowledge introduces himself, their wings and antenna appear. Marge asks if the tea has been adulterated, and Calypso wonders if that's something that they would do as they fly off.
Like, they put pornography in the tea?
That's right.
Homer excitedly tells Marge that he's found a new tent from a guy who just OD'd. I wonder what the death rate is at Burning Man. Steve, look into that real quick while I'll continue the story. Maggie emerges from the tent using a hypodermic needle as a pacifier. So Homer takes a picture of his child suckling on a syringe that is potentially full of drugs and disease and sends it to Lenny. He and then Carl look at the photo while standing outside of the nuclear plant, which has gone up in flames. And that makes me wonder, if Homer was at work, would that have been prevented? I feel like whoever was covering for Homer wasn't doing his job as safety inspector.
That is true, so Homer would have saved the day.
Yeah, well, so they both share an awe, like Carl and Lenny, and when a fellow worker tells them that Smitty may be inside of the burning plant, they feel bad that he's missing out on the cuteness. Not that the fact that he's probably burned to death.
Yeah.
Like Burning Man.
About 7 people have died in the history of Burning Man, which, you know, since 1986, that's not too bad. It's a pretty good batting average, I guess.
I thought you were saying 7 people at least a year.
I mean, that's still pretty good, but yeah. So Lisa, with her saxophone in hand, checks out all of the music choices available to her. There's a brass band in short shorts led by a nude man with a very long beard, a barbershop quintet, a human kazoo, and a drum circle. So Lisa jumps into that center of the rhythmic drumming, blasting her horn to the beat. The human kazoo, along with a human bass, join in, and all is simpatico until a kilt-wearing man playing a flaming tuba arrives. The music stops, and one of the drummers asks if the tubist needs help before calling him a freak. And the tuba player walks away, playing a sad boom, boom, boom tune as he leaves.
Why are they so against the tuba?
I mean, nobody likes the tubist. It's 28 feet of tube wrapped up into low, bassy notes.
Remember when Arnold Schwarzenegger was asked to play an instrument, and it was offered, like, do you want to play the trumpet or trombone or a tuba? What did he say?
It's not a tuba.
Oh, man. Wow, what a... Setting you up for a dad joke, Steve. That was horrible. Can we edit that out? That was embarrassing for me.
You know what? He was going to play music. He's like...
Do it, just do it. We already...
All right. You play Mozart. You play Beethoven. I'll be Bach.
By the way, thank you for making a worse joke than I did. So he uses binoculars. Bart finds his teacher, Mr. Lassen. He is shirtless, wearing some shorts, boots, and a kerchief around his neck. So Milhouse uses his camera to scope out the teach, thinking that he may have a way to ruin him.
His nipples are asymmetrical! This could ruin him! Milhouse, everyone here is a total freak. We have to find a way to completely humiliate Lassen. Get a picture of a restaurant check with no tip. Put it online. Say it was him. Kaboom! He's finished.
I mean, that's not bad, Milhouse.
No. I think Milhouse is fun in this episode.
Yeah, I agree. Steve, are your nipples asymmetrical? Just asking.
I think they might be, actually. Are yours?
All four of them? Yes.
Okay. Well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, so. But, yeah, I think the tip thing, especially, like, after the pandemic, that is a good way to ruin somebody. At the tent, Marge sips her calming tea, enjoying it more and more with each sip. And as her pupils dilate, she suddenly feels that this place isn't as bad as she first thought. Homer's also enjoying himself, wearing just a loincloth. But he needs to avoid the inseam-high cacti, hopping over the prickly pants until one punctures his penis.
Fully feeling the effects of the tea, Marge asks Homer if he's Mr. Clean. And compared to the rest of the people in the makeshift village, he certainly is. Meanwhile, Milhouse is using a hand-built public form to request that the Tooth Fairy has his forwarding address. As one of his teeth is pretty loose, behind him an impatient shirtless hippie is glad that the only phone is available, just as the man in the phone costume walks by.
Milhouse wonders if they should give up on the revenge plan against Lassen, but Bart is still dedicated. He knows that the Ignis is the most important thing in Jack's life and wants to wreck it, as Lassen has scarred him forever, and Bart then takes off his cap to show the damage done, only to reveal a head full of pointy hair, which, as Milhouse points out, is even better than it was before.
Then Marge swings on a hanging Papasan chair, stoned to the gourd, feeling as though someone ironed out all the wrinkles in her brain. She looks around, and a sleeping bag transforms into a worm wearing a derby and glasses. The worm dances as smiling hot dogs play a xylophone made from a grill. A tambourine wearing boxing gloves joins in on the fun as music notes dance in the sky, lanterns turn into flying insects. All sorts of creatures and visions emerge, from a flame pair of legs, a toothbrush stuttering on 2 flashlights, and even the space coyote makes an appearance. Remember the space coyote from the episode that Stevie could pronounce it, and because you speak Spanish, and of course played by Johnny Cash.
Yes, the Fantastic Voyage of Homer.
I said in Spanish, Steve.
The Fantastic Voyage of Homer in Spanish.
Steve.
El viaje maestro de nuestra Homer.
I'm sure all of our Spanish listening fans just laughed at you.
That's fair. Lo siento.
Yeah, all of our English-speaking fans as well.
Laugh's a laugh. I don't blame him.
Yeah.
So, Homer holds Maggie, but in Marge's eye, he's an elephant playing a trombone that is emitting rainbow music notes that swirl in the air. In reality, a sandstorm is taking place, and Homer's yelling at Marge to get into the tent. He carries her body inside, but then looks down to see that it's just her outline made of sand. So he goes on to actually get her, and she's happy as always to be saved by her trombone elephant.
So while walking past a robotic octopus, Bart and Milhouse see an emergency service tent, where shirtless firefighters check on the supplies. Bart is drawn to their tanks of fire retardant, which gives him an idea. If Lassen can't perform his duties as an Ignis, he's useless!
Oh no! Well, Milhouse expresses fear for Bart's plan, saying that he never gets scared. But behind him, 2 giant eyeballs hold hands as glasses are placed on them, followed by a large bulbous nose and 2 blue eyebrows, basically creating Milhouse's face. And Milhouse finds the image to be hideous.
He should have said, like, it's hideous, it looks like my dad.
That would have... Oh, that's a great punch-up, yeah.
Nice callback to him looking like his mom. All right. Milhouse drives the robotic octopus car from the burning guy statue and lifts Bart on one of the tentacles so he can spray the fire retardant all over the Iphigenia bee. And a man witnesses this, sure that the boys are going to ruin the event. He then says that it's a shame that he's just an illusion, and then he fades into nothingness. So as night falls, crowds have formed around the flaming guy, and Marge shares her feelings to Homer.
Homie, you promised me an incredible camping trip, and I got one.
Just like I planned.
You got very lucky this time. Don't push it.
I understand. I already signed up for this place next year. I gave my form and $200 cash to that dude. No!
As the gesture throws Homer's money into a pile of flames, the main event is about to begin. A woman in glowing tribal gear calls out to Lassen, calling, "Ignis, approach the burning man. Flaming guy." So a nude Lassen wearing only body paint spins in a wheel to the large statue. He hurls a torch into the mouth of the structure, but nothing happens.
So as the flames peters out, the music stops. The crowd groans in disappointment. And a person wearing a Stay Puft Marshmallow head changes his smile to a frown. And I like the nice Ghostbuster reference.
Mm-hmm.
A woman holding a neon parasol yells, "Get the job done!" Lassen throws 2 more torches, again with no success. And the woman calls for Lassen to be stripped of his nudity. And 2 men place pants and a button-up shirt on him before wiping away the paint from his face.
So Milhouse and Bart laugh at their successful stunt, accidentally knocking over a canister of the flame retardant, which rolls to the feet of Jack Lassen. Flaming Guy may be ruined, but Lassen thinks that they could still have Blazing Boy, taking the fire tuba and shooting flames and low notes at Bart as he runs up the statue.
So Bart calls out for assistance from the desert weirdos. Homer thinks fast, grabbing a woman's butterfly wings and hopping on a catapult, soaring through the air, shouting, "Beware the butterfly sting!" So he nearly reaches Lassen atop the statue, but falls short, landing on the legs, causing the flaming guy to fall to pieces.
Oof. The tribal woman calls for a human prison to be formed around Lassen, where he will be held for 5 days. So people form a human pyramid around Jack, one of them asking, "How many days do I have to stand there?" Bart and Milhouse laugh again, but figure that they should head home as Homer didn't bring any water.
He says it too with like a dry voice.
Yeah, and he's like...
Yeah. I also like the idea of like, anytime you see something like the situation where they try to burn something down, they always like put gasoline around so flames happen, but like the flame retardant, like it's like the opposite. So it's nothing turns on fire. It's great. I mean, the idea of like holding a human prison kind of sucks for Lassen too, because like all the smells of other humans.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. That is pretty awful, yeah.
But being also the human gel is pretty awful.
Yeah.
Marge wonders when the trip will end. Seeing psychedelic versions of Milhouse, Bart, Lisa, and the tuba, mushrooms blast into the night sky to form a fireworm smiley faces as a meteor made of Nelson soars by with a ha-ha. Just then, Marge finds herself alone in the desert, completely alone in a lawn chair. And so we go back to Springfield, where Jack Lassen faces the consequences of his action, but meets his kindred spirit.
According to this file from Blazing Guy's Secret Security, your behavior was so egregious, we can do something that we've never done before. Fire a teacher.
Hand in your red pen. No, I'm not going to pass fingernail inspection tonight.
So where do you go from here?
A place where my talents will be appreciated. All right, lights out. You too, freak. You hate him too?
with every fiber of what's left of my wretched soul.
We should team up. I can get you out of here.
A partner. Intriguing. Who gets to gut him like a little pot-bellied salmon?
I assumed we'd take turns.
No deal.
And there we got Kelsey Grammer as Sideshow Bob.
That's right. Jack went on to become a prison guard where he found Sideshow Bob.
Do you think that they told Kelsey you get to work with Willem Dafoe? Like, he was really excited about. I feel like that's like an actor, oh, really? Willem Dafoe's in this? That's awesome. Like, or do you think he just recorded his line not knowing that Willem Dafoe's going to be speaking to Sideshow Bob?
No, I think you're right. I think like Al Jean or whomever called him up and is like, Kelsey, I know it's been a while, but we've got a special episode with you, and we got another special guest, Willem Dafoe, and Kelsey was like, yes, I shall do this.
Yeah, you don't really see Kelsey doing like just one little one scene, right? Like,
right.
Usually he's part of the whole episode. He's part of the plot, but in just this here, I was wondering because I saw that like on the credits that Kelsey was back as Sideshow Bob, and then Dafoe, and look on the internet, looking at like the image of Lassen, like he kind of looks like Bob, and I almost was thinking like, was Dafoe actually Sideshow Bob this whole time? And then like Bart reveals that it was gonna be, his voice changes back to Sideshow Bob, and it was Bob the whole time trying to kill Bart, but it wasn't. Just a real person.
Also, before we take a break, I do want to wonder, well, I'm not saying that Jack Lassen is a good person. He's a horrible teacher, and it's frightening. But the security footage from Flaming Guy, he didn't really do anything wrong aside from not light the thing right.
That's a sin in this country, Steve.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, with that, let's say we take a break, think about what we just saw, and we'll be right back. Alrighty, we're back. Let's finish up our discussion of Blazed and Confused. We'll talk about what we liked about the episode, what we thought about the episode, and what made us laugh. Maybe a most valuable jokester, if you will. And we'll find out what we're watching next week. But before we do all of that, in this time of the world, we like to, share some kindness, share some gifts from this episode that we think our co-host might enjoy. And well, Craig, for you, I got you a couple of different things. I think we're all trying to escape reality right now, so I got you some of Marge's Insanity tea that's been adulterated, so it might make you high, or it might have pornography in it. Either way, you can enjoy. Speaking of things of the sexual nature, I also got you a gift card to a touch of ass, so you can go see Nelson's mom, or whoever happens to be working that night. And, after all that psychotic tea and exotic dancing, you're going to be hungry. So I got you some of those rolls that were left on the table because the Simpsons aren't going to eat them, so they're all yours.
I also wrote down Marge's tea, so I guess you're not getting that, Steve, since you got it for me.
I mean, we can both get high. It's fine.
No.
Okay.
It's mine now. I'm a little disappointed you didn't get me the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
Oh, damn. That would have been perfect. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't do that.
Yeah, you don't know me that well.
I don't know you at all, Greg.
It's Frank.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, Phil.
I did get you a couple things, and one is a giant kazoo costume.
Ooh, yeah.
And also, I've been saving some money for my child, and I have exactly $2,000 that's going to be for her. But I thought, nope, this $2,000 she's not going to eat. She's just going to buy Cocoa Melon toys and lollipops and whatever kids buy these days, right? For a 7-month-old.
Mm-hmm.
Got you a ticket to Burning Man. So you have a one-way ticket to Burning Man. You figure out how to get back. You'll be going to summer of 2025. Are you excited for that?
Oh, boy. Yes, that sounds like a lot of fun. A lot of good people. A lot of good smells. Yeah.
But you got the kazoo costume to fit in.
That's true. I will enjoy that.
All right.
All right. Well,
happy birdie, man.
And a happy flaming guy to you. Craig, what made you laugh in this episode?
Well, I'll just up and say it, Steve. Is that a term, up and say it?
I think so, yeah.
Come out and say it. I'm giving the MVJ to Milhouse.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of fun zingers and a lot of balls that this kid Milhouse has. Besides, like, saying that he looks like his mom, which is fun. Him popping his nose through doing a Jack Torrance impersonation through the blackboard. Hilarious. I like what he was talking about the terms and conditions, you know? Him spying with Bart at Burning Man, just him being part of the adventure was a lot of fun. And that being said, Milhouse gets my vote for MVJ. And of course, second, the other wacky Springfield kid, of course, is Nelson. Him being dethroned as the bully by Mr. Lassen is a lot of fun stuff there. And I'll give them the fun characters of this episode. How about you, Steve?
Very nice. I hate to be unoriginal, but yeah, Milhouse is the guy for this episode. I love the fact that he saw the people form his face and called it hideous, although I do agree that your punch-up of, oh my god, it looks like my dad would have been a superior joke. But yeah, I like the fact that he was so bold, and he admitted to Bart that his initial prank wasn't that scary, that it didn't make him pee himself, but then he saw Lassen and he did pee himself. I liked how he told Smelson to shut up. Like, this is a new Milhouse that I can get down with. He's confident and he's fun. And also, speaking of Nelson, like you mentioned, I like that Nelson was kind of put in his place in this episode. Like, it's rare to see weakness from him. Also, this isn't a person exactly, but I really love it when they're able to do multiple voices at the same time and like talking over each other. And at the dinner table, not only was it Homer and Lisa laughing at Bart simultaneously, that was very good, but also when Lisa and Homer were arguing about the buzzard, whatever, the campsite that was actually just a parking lot, and then Marge crying over them. The three voices over each other was like a lot of fun, and you can hear different performances, and I thought that was really good. So yeah. But Craig, what was your thought on this episode overall?
So, like how I just said that Milhouse gets the MVJ, I don't think we've ever given Milhouse the MVJ.
Mm-hmm.
So, Milhouse is a character that's kind of a wiener, right? And, in Springfield terms, is like frowned upon. As Simpsons fans, we love him. But in Springfield terms, he's a Milhouse. I mean, he's like an adjective, right?
Yeah.
So that's what this episode is. It's a Milhouse.
Oh boy.
What's the point of Mr. Lassen? Like, he is a one-note character. As much as I love Willem Dafoe, and I think he did a great job in this, like, there's no redeeming characteristics. Like, I don't understand how he's, like, a fan of Burning Man. Like, is this supposed to be, like, Bart's version of Frank Grimes?
Yeah.
Like, at least Frank Grimes had, like, a character growth to him, or a character that you sympathize with Frank Grimes, right?
Right.
Even because he is like the outsider, and you're like, oh yeah, Homer is an asshole. And, like, we're all like Frank Grimes in real life.
Mm-hmm.
But this character, like, I don't have much of a backstory. Yes, you read a Wikipedia thing that they wrote up, but still, like, who is he? Like, why is he this way? What's his motivation? Why is he the way he is?
Yeah,
we don't know. There's no, like, backstory of, like, maybe he could have been like, hey Bart, I was just like you. Something like that, right?
Right.
There's nothing about this character that I sympathize. Like, you're supposed to sympathize with some of these characters that aren't the Simpsons. Like, I just mentioned, like, Frank Grimes, or how about Lisa with Mr. Bergstrom, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was the episode with Sofia Vergara as a teacher, and at least, like, she has some sort of background on, like, a character that maybe you can learn to like. I don't know, because she was, like, a military person, right?
Right, yeah.
But still, like, there's nothing with this character, and I don't know how they decide to connect with Burning Man, and it's just weird. Like, this is one of those episodes that while there's some funny jokes, funny visual gags, like Bart having a little bit of Homer hair, very funny. It's just one of those episodes that it just throws all logic out.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand it's a cartoon, and sometimes those all thrown out logic episodes can be fun if there's like kind of a point or a message. What's a message in this episode? I don't know. It's not for me. Maybe they were going with like, this is the beginning of a new season because it was the TABF 01 new production or era. It's just, yeah. I have to say it's a skip for me. If I gave this a ranking, when this episode aired in 2014, Burning Man had its peak population at 65,922 people that attended this. 65,922 people. So you just put that in your mind. That's so many people.
That is a lot of people.
Yeah. So out of 65,922, I will give this episode 1 for the one person that wasn't there, and that was Steve.
Wow.
So this episode gets a Steve. How about you?
That's disappointing. Yeah. So first I'll start with the good. I think so often in the more modern episodes of The Simpsons, we see a wacky premise up front that's really goofy, and then it sets into the real story, and then the story kind of peters out. I feel like in this one, I had the most fun with the episode when they actually got to Flaming Guy, and all the wackiness. I enjoyed Marge's hallucinations, and I enjoyed Milhouse. That being said, I feel like Defoe was kind of wasted in this episode. Like, he's done an episode before when he was playing the military school professor or teacher, the cadet, and I think he did great in that episode. And so he can do The Simpsons and he can do cartoons, and I think it works well. But this one, you're right, he had no reason for being the jerk that he was, and it's a weird juxtaposition to be a psychotic anger beast like he was, punching a hole through the chalkboard and all that, only to be a weird hippie. Like, it doesn't jive with my mind. And also, frankly, Bart's pranks were pretty weak for Bart, and yeah, it all felt a little half-hearted, and there was no like real motivation for it, as you say. Like, Lassen just seemed mean-spirited for no particular reason. Like, if you hate people that much, why are you a teacher? And I just nothing really worked as a plot. Like, even like, I appreciate Homer's story kind of, I guess, like trying to like get a reservation when he didn't. And I liked his gaslighting line about, you didn't tell me to do that a year ago, and how could you remember? But all in all, it was kind of a weaker episode. And, we talk about, what Willem Dafoe is packing, but evidently, other celebrities, not so much. So I'm going to give this a Shia LaBeouf, and if you look it up, you'll know what I mean.
All right, I'm looking it up right now. Wow, he's hung, Steve. That's like 4 times bigger than me. What are you talking about?
I mean, 2 inches is 2 inches.
Oh, I go by centimeters.
We are Canadian, after all.
Yes, we're Canadian. Why would you... Okay, yeah. Thanks for copying me and not liking the episode, Steve.
No, I think that there's a lot of creativity in the visual aspects of this episode. I think that Marge's hallucinations, really beautiful. And I think, the callback to having the space coyote there, cool. But I just didn't know the why of this episode, and I didn't care about the characters. Except for Milhouse, weirdly, which is like, I think when Milhouse is the best the best character of an episode, you got some problems.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's funny, yeah, that Milhouse and like I said, Nelson had the best scenes, but like Lisa seems out of place. It's just like, oh, Lisa's gonna like it because there's music playing. It's just out of character. I don't think Lisa would care for Burning Man. Right, and she didn't do anything aside from playing a drum circle. That was her whole deal. And I guess it's fun to see Marge high, but like we've seen her drunk before and tipsy, right. They were just playing on the notes that we like. And yeah, I agree. Yeah, sadly, this is all a skip for us, but maybe next week will be better. I think it will. Alrighty. Well, to find out what we're watching next week, we'll have to get out our old friend, the Wheel of Random. We haven't used the wheel in such a long time. I know. This is the first time of the year it might be. Wow. Yeah, so welcome to 2025, Wheel.
Thank you.
It's very random, isn't it?
It is.
So that's the first time we've actually heard him talk. Yeah.
I know. Wow.
Guys are doing great.
Thanks, Wheel of Random. You're doing great, too.
Thank you.
In fact, let's give you a spin to see which season we're in. Ba-doop! Alrighty, we have Season 17.
Ooh, Season 17.
Yeah. Alright, let's give it another spin to see which episode we're watching. Ba-doop! Alright, we have Episode 2. That's Season 17, Episode 2. Now, Craig, what do you think the title of this episode is?
Season 17, Episode 2. I'm just going to say it's called Dead Dog Walking.
That sounds bleak.
Yeah. In fact, I think I know the synopsis. I know we don't do this way.
Okay.
But I think I know it's Dead Dog Walking, and the synopsis goes like this. Brian's marriage to Jess is not exactly as he expected, and advice from Peter leads Brian to let himself go, causing Jess to make an unexpected decision. And I believe it aired October 7th, 2018. Am I right, Steve?
Wow. Yes, you are. In fact, because that is Season 17, Episode 2 of Family Guy.
Yeah, that's the show we do, right? A Family Guy podcast.
Right. We're a couple of cool hog boys.
Yeah. Am I wrong? Have I been doing this wrong the whole time?
I think you might be, yeah.
Oh, shit. Wait, can I say my favorite catchphrase?
Sure.
Blasted, Steve. Wait, what does Stewie say?
Yeah, blasted. Giggity?
Yeah, giggity, Steve. That's my catchphrase, right?
Right. Yeah, this is, actually, Craig, we've been a Simpsons podcast for the past 6 years, but it's funny how well it's worked. Like, you know, you've got the smart, sensible wife, the the big, fat, dumb guy who, likes beer.
Yeah, you have the smart, sensitive wife who, like, in a silhouette looks like a penis, right? Look at Lois's, it looks like a penis, like a typical penis, but then Marge looks like Willem Dafoe's penis.
That's true.
In silhouette, I mean.
Of course. No, Craig. The episode of The Simpsons that we're watching is entitled The Girl Who Slept Too Little. What do you think that's about?
Okay, a girl on The Simpsons could either be Lisa or Maggie.
Sure.
I guess girl tends to be, like, under 18, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not going to be Marge.
Probably not.
Unless it's a flashback, which it could be. But I'm going to say it's not. So I think it's about Maggie. She's not feeling well.
Aww.
And she's sick. And it's keeping her parents up at night. Because, you know, she's in pain and she's crying and she won't sleep. And Homer has to do a podcast with, let's say, Carl.
Yep.
While Marge has to take care of the sick baby upstairs. And that's the story. And it has nothing to do with my personal life, Steve.
I mean, that does sound fairly relatable. However, you are wrong. The Girl Who Slept Too Little is about a new cemetery that opens right outside the window of Lisa's room, making her suffer from many sleepless nights.
I actually do remember this episode. Not, like, fully, but, like, the concept of a cemetery being built right in front of Lisa's room. Like,
yeah.
Is this behind the Simpsons household? Yeah, because okay, yeah. We don't really talk much about, like, what's behind the other fence.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, like, sometimes it's the power plant.
Yeah, right? Like, or just some houses, like when they do, like, shots of it coming out of, yeah.
I just remember Lisa being very scared, and that's about all I remember. So I'm excited to watch this episode with you, Craig, and fans, I'm excited to hear from you, and we hope that you listen, but if you do want to contact us, you certainly can on the socials that are bad, like Instagram or Threads or YouTube at 138simpsons, or probably the best way is to email us at 138simpsons@gmail.com.
And leave us a review, 5-star or the equivalent, but you don't have to leave us a real review. Just go to Apple Podcasts or whatever podcast app you use, like Spotify, and leave us 5 stars or equivalent. But again, like I said, don't leave us a real review. Just let us know your favorite memories of being a Burning Man.
Ooh, nice. And hey, a lot of people are naked at Burning Man, but you shouldn't be naked. So that's why you should go to tpublic.com/user/annoyedgruntboy and buy yourself some good Annoyed Grunt Boy 138 Simpsons swag. All right, for this week, I've been Annoyed Grunt Boy Steve.
And I've been Annoyed Grunt Boy Craig.
And remember, camping is pointless.
Keep expectations low.
His nipples are asymmetrical.